Hi, welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be a summer TBR. Essentially all the books that I want to read over the summer, but this is a very optimistic list. There's no way I'm actually going to read all of these, but this is if I am able to weirdly get into an insane headspace where I can read 20 books in like a month, then these are the books that I will be reading. So first, I want to start with the books that I'm currently reading because I have a really bad problem starting several books at one time and just making my way through them super slowly. Okay, so first off, I just started an audiobook of Not for the Faint of Heart by Lex Croucher. This is essentially a retelling, I believe, of Robin Hood, but sapphic, which, what's to hate about that? You know what I mean? However, the problem with this book is that I did try to read Lex Croucher's other book, Gwen and Art Are Not in Love, also on audio, and I didn't end up getting through that book. I think it just wasn't, like, the pacing just wasn't for me. I think they got together a little bit too quick for me, and so I got a bit bored after that. So hopefully this book will be a little bit different. It hasn't really caught me yet. I'm only a couple chapters in. But I'm hoping that it eventually will catch my interest just because the concept is so good. The concept's so good. I'm also reading Red Rabbit by Alex Grecian. I started this a few days ago and I'm actually really loving it. I'm not super far in so far. I'm like, okay, I lied. I'm almost halfway through. But this is, I guess, a horror, maybe you would call it a thriller, that is essentially a witch hunting group in Kansas during the Wild West, so like the 1800s. I'm not gonna lie, the main reason I picked this up was because it sounded like Supernatural, but Wild West and cowboys. So I didn't think I could go wrong with this, and honestly, I'm loving it so far. It's a little bit slow pacing. Plot-wise, I can't really tell what they're building up to, but being that it does kind of seem like a journey type of book, I think I'm okay with that. And again, the little random things that happen in this book do remind me of Supernatural. So it's really interesting so far. Hopefully it continues to be interesting because this is really the only book that's really catching my interest right now. So. And the last book that I'm currently reading is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. Obviously, I am very late to this. I did not allow myself to carve out the time to read this while I was in school just because I knew I would get obsessed with it or that it would kind of take my mind away from everything else, which I kind of do during school, obviously. However, I'm not loving it so far. Granted, I'm like that far in, so like I know I need to just like dedicate the time to get fully invested. However, it's hard to get invested when I'm hearing Snow's voice. You know what I mean? Like the fact that I'm in Snow's point of view for this is making it difficult to want to pick it up because I don't want to hear his voice. However, on my TBR for the summer is also the next prequel. What is it called? I can't remember what that book is called, but the one that's in Haymitch's, about Haymitch's games. And so I feel like I do need to finish this before I allow myself to start that one. Let me know if you also had trouble getting into this book, and if it does get better, because I really want to enjoy it. You know what, I should stop saying that because I'm literally 40 pages in. Okay, now for the actual summer TBR that I have not started. The first book is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. This book, essentially from what I know, is a retelling of the Cain and Abel story. So immediately my interest is piqued because I love a story that is just using religious allegories and imagery and ideas and retelling a religious story. I love stuff like that. Now, the disclaimer for this one is, yes, it has tabs in it because I have started it before. I got about, I think, like 100, 120 pages in or so, and I was loving it. However, this is a book that you do have to like give a lot of attention to, and I made the mistake of starting it while I was in classes. So obviously I wasn't able to dedicate the time needed to this book. And I already know I'm gonna love it. I already know it's gonna be incredible because I already love it from the 100 pages that I read. I just need to dedicate time to it, so I think that's why it's a perfect summer read. Okay, the next book that's on my TBR is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Again, this is another one that I started but just didn't really get into. And I know that if I dedicated the time necessary to this that I would love it, just from based on the writing style. But I've heard people say that this is a super interesting book and it's really beautiful prose, which from like the 20 pages I've read, I agree. I just need to, again, like dedicate the time to this, like maybe set aside like a weekend to just really get into this book, because it's really not that long. How long is it? It's like 235 pages. But yeah, this is a book about a character named Piranesi who is stuck in a labyrinth that he lives in, and really that's all I know about it, except for that it's like based in a lot of Greek mythology, which I love. So, okay, the next book is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. Again, a book that I started but didn't have the proper time to really dedicate to it. All I really know about this book is that it's about a man dealing with sexuality in the 1950s, and I haven't read any James Baldwin yet, but I heard such good things about him from all my classmates and professors during university, so I know it's gonna be good. I just need to, again, dedicate the time, and this is a super short book, so I could genuinely do this in like a weekend. Next book on my list is Emily Henry's Happy Place, another one that I just have needed to get to for a long time. I read Beach Read and People Who Meet on Vacation of Emily Henry's, but those are the only ones I've read, and I loved both of them. Gave both of them 5 stars. So I'm sure that this one will be really good as well. I think this will be a good like bring to the beach, bring to the pool kind of book for the summer. But this is about a couple who have been broken up but end up spending the summer with their friends and have to lie about the relationship. So it sounds like it's gonna be really good, a lot of drama. But yeah, this will be a pool read. The next book on my list is a big one, which is Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. This has been on my list for a very long time, obviously, and it was one of the books that I kind of had on my list for post-graduation that I could finally allow myself to really spend the time to read it, because I knew it would take me a long time and I knew it would take a lot of energy to read. I have read some of Dostoevsky's short stories, I believe, in classes, but none of his actual novels, and I've liked what I have read, so I know I'll probably like it. I was kind of bouncing between Crime and Punishment and Brothers Karamazov, but I think that Crime and Punishment being the slightly more well-known and I think slightly shorter book means that that will be the one that I read first. I think I'm also planning to do like a little reading vlog for when I do read Crime and Punishment, because I think it will take me a while to get through, and I am maybe optimistically predicting that I will have a lot of thoughts about it. So look out for that sometime this summer. Next on my list is my most highly anticipated new release, which I'm sure is a lot of people's highly anticipated new releases, is Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I have heard so many people talking about this book, and admittedly, I have not read any R.F. Kuang. However, the description of this book essentially being 2 academics journeying through the underworld, and I think it's also a romance in there. I'm not sure about that, but I think it sounds incredible. It sounds so good. It sounds so interesting. I love that it's like has a lot of root in like Greek mythology and like Dante's Inferno kind of stuff. I just feel like it's gonna be incredible, and I'm so excited, and I honestly don't know when it is actually released, but you best believe as soon as it's released, I will be buying it and I will be spending an entire weekend reading it. I'm so excited, and I will probably also do a reading vlog for that one. We'll see. Next on my list is Salem's Lot by Stephen King. I have never read any Stephen King before. I honestly don't really know if I'm a horror thriller kind of reader. I am reading Red Rabbit right now, which is like kind of horror thriller esque, but definitely not like Stephen King level, I don't think. So I don't really know if I'm gonna enjoy it. However, my sole reason, okay, I wanted to read Stephen King for a long time just to like be able to know what it's all about. But I saw the movie Sinners and became obsessed with it, as one does. If you haven't seen the movie, you need to see the movie. It's life-changing. I went down a rabbit hole of watching interviews of Ryan Coogler, the director, and he mentioned a lot of his references and a lot of like inspiration, and Salem's Lot by Stephen King was one of his influences. So really all I know about it is that it influenced Sinners, and it's about a small town with a vampire. That's truly all I know, and that's all I need to know. So now it is on my list. Honestly, just the connection to Sinners is enough for me to want to read the book. So hopefully it's good. Hopefully it lives up to the Stephen King hype. I trust Ryan Coogler's recommendation though, so I have faith that it will be very good. Next book on my list is another new release coming out, I believe, this month in June, which is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This is another book that I don't really know too much about, other than it's about vampires and it's sapphic, and I think it's inspired by Interview with the Vampire, which I have only seen like 1 or 2 episodes of, but it sounds really interesting. I've heard a lot of people hyping it up. I think the only V.E. Schwab that I read was Vicious, but I ended up not actually getting through that book, so I'm a little bit nervous about whether this one will capture my attention as much. But as you probably figured out from the last book that I mentioned, I really love anything with vampires in it. So I'm hooked. I'm sad. I'm ready to read. Okay, and the last thing on my TBR, which is multiple books, but that is Realm of the Elderling by Robin Hobb, and that is the entire series. I've already read the first 3, but The Realm of the Elderling is essentially the whole series, which is, I want to say 4 trilogies, 4 or 5 trilogies. That might be wrong. I've read the first trilogy and I was absolutely obsessed with it. I read the first book in the second trilogy, which is Ship of Magic, which I didn't love as much. I have a review on my Instagram if you want to read that. However, I am obsessed with Fitz, and I'm obsessed with The Fool, and I just need to get to the books that they are in because I miss them so much. I miss them so much. And if I'm not mistaken, every other series, like every other trilogy is in one of their perspectives or like focuses on them. So I believe this trilogy that comes after the Ship of Magic trilogy is focused on Fitz and the Fool, which are the characters from the first trilogy. I'm making this way more confusing than it actually is. I'm trying to decide if I should just skip past this Ship of Magic trilogy because I didn't love the first book, and it's very long, in order to get to the next trilogy, which has all of the Assassin's Apprentice characters. Or would that just be wrong? We'll see. Let me know if you have any opinions. Please let me know, because I'm still trying to make that decision. However, I'm taking a break from Robin Hobb just because Ship of Magic took me so long to get through. I need a fantasy break. And that's pretty much my entire TBR. I honestly, we will see if I actually stick to these. These are the ones that are the top of my TBR, my top priorities. However, usually a couple random books get thrown in, a couple I just never get to, so we'll see. I might end up doing a video at the end of the summer of like a recap of what I actually got through my TBR and like everything I read through the summer. But yeah, this was my very optimistic TBR. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like and comment if you've read any of these books, what you thought, what I should push to higher importance on my TBR, and maybe what other books I should add to my TBR. Okay, talk to you next time. Bye!